All right, well, welcome everyone, and thanks for coming tonight. This is our Level 2 Parent Information Night or Curriculum Night. And these are our Level 2 teachers, and I'll let them introduce themselves as they go. If you're here and you're taking notes, we're also going to videotape it and post it to our website as soon as we can with some help from the district tech people. And hopefully we'll get that out to those who weren't able to come tonight. So we've got about, at most, a half hour in here. So as soon as they wrap up, then what we'll do is we'll split off into, you'll go to your home-based teacher's classroom for Q&A there. We just thought question and answers would go better if you're up in a smaller environment than here in the big environment. So without further ado, Level 2.
All right, thank you for coming. We're going to first give you a little bit of an overview and introduction to all of Level 2's philosophy, and then we're going to talk about math, and we're going to talk about literacy, but first we're just going to introduce ourselves so you know who's all standing up here. So I'm Christina Sprader, and I'm teaching math. I'm
Jenny McDonald. I am literacy and engineering.
I'm Deb Zemsky, and I'm teaching literacy and FOSS science.
I'm Tracy Sanchez. I'm teaching math and FOSS science.
I'm Jackie Jackalone, and I'm teaching math and EIE.
And I am Kate Krizik, teaching literacy and project-based learning with Christina.
Yeah, and as Kate said, yeah, I'm teaching projects as well. So, a lot of the times that our overall philosophy is the same, and while we're teaching math or literacy, we all find it really important to be looking at individualized, proficiency-based student learning. So this is a picture of what it used to look like in a classroom, or what is considered a traditional classroom, and what we're looking for all of Level 2 and for the students. So we really want to focus on building student schema. We try to figure out what they already know, and we build on it. This is a quote about constructivism. And its constructivists believe that for higher levels of cognition to occur, students must build their own knowledge through activities that engage them in active learning. Effective learning happens when students take stock of what they already know and then move beyond it. So it's very important for us to know where the students are at, where they come in socially as well as cognitively, and then we take that and we build upon it. So one way we do that is, for example, today in math, we gave our first Unit 1 pre-assessment where we're able to see where students are at in the standards, and now we can go and plan what we're going to do to meet those standards based on what they already know. It's also important in here, it talks about active learning and engaging lessons, and it's important to us to not only know what they know based on their standards, but also what they enjoy. So we've done a lot of activities to get to know your children, and so that we can tie them with the standards and we can keep them engaged and excited about what they're doing.
And to go along with like what Christina was saying about getting kids to really take stock in their own learning, we're talking about just right levels in math. So we're trying to get them out of that mindset of when we practice like IXL, for example, of, oh, what grade level am I at right now? Practicing on thinking about what's my just right level for where I'm at right now. So you may have even seen now on the IXL website that we switched the settings of it so it's by level grade, so by letter levels versus grade levels to get that notion of what's my just right level right now. We're also really trying to use data through MAPS testing to help gear students for what's their just right level right now and to help them with the appropriate goal setting for where they're at right now.
And I'm going to talk about Level 2 math as a whole. This summer, a group of teachers met, and we used brain-based research from the Dana Center. And we used that research to create a scope and sequence for math based on Common Core state standards. We decided that for each unit, we will pre-assess the students based on the targets, and from that information, we will then flexibly group students. At the end of each unit, we will end with a post-assessment to determine student growth, and each of the students will be working with one of the math teachers, Miss Jackalone, Miss Sprader, or myself. We also decided that in order that you know who your child is working with, we will be sending a note home at the beginning of each unit. And for homework this year, we decided that for math, instead of sending a worksheet every night, we'll send a packet home on Monday, and that packet will be due back on Friday. The packet will consist of word problems, skills practice, and IXL practice. Instead of starting next week with our upcoming field trip, we decided that our first packet will probably come home the first week in October.
All right, as we transition into literacy, we're going to just briefly go over a few things about our structure and our goals for literacy, and then we're going to break into our homeroom classrooms to get some more specific detail out to all of you. So we're going to start with Jenny McDonald, if you want to start with a day in the life of a student.
Okay, I'd like to tell you a little bit about a typical day in reading workshop. Like math, we are also placing children into their just right. Everyone's in their own bin. Everybody has their own level. I'm pretty clear when I do running records with the children, when they read next to me, that I let them know what their level is. So just like math, we're also approaching literacy the same way. Everybody is at their just right level. So for a typical day in reading workshop, we have spent the first 10 to 15 minutes with a mini lesson, which usually begins with the reading of a mentor text. So they're being read to each day with a text that's tied into the lesson. The skill or concept is taught, and sometimes anchor charts are made to help the child remember the skill that's being taught. The reading target is also displayed for the child to see in the form of an I can statement. For example, we just used one the other day that read, I can build my reading stamina to become a better reader. They're simple, but the children know why they're doing it, when they're doing it. The second part of a typical day in Readers Workshop is once the mini lesson is over, students are dismissed into their reading nooks. Today we started our first day on training on what does a responsible reading nook look like, and we talked about the rules and how children could get together or work independently and yet sometimes together by getting their work done. Places are mapped out into the classroom. I actually map my classroom out once I feel that the children have found a nook that they're successful in. We'll put it on a map and display it in the classroom, and those nooks may change depending on reading behaviors. They also have book bins, which they will take to their just right reading nooks and their just right books in their book bins. Students know their level or can choose a just right book by themselves using the strategies they learned from our just right book lesson. Those are also displayed on an anchor chart so they can remember, how do I find a just right book? It's on a chart they can remember or ask the teacher. In their bin is also their reader notebooks and some Post-its and all the other tools they'll need to be successful in their reading nooks. It's our expectation that they read a book independently and record their books on their log sheets, and we'll talk about those more up in the classroom. And their reader's response journal, very important part of reading workshop. While students are reading, the teacher is usually working either in small guided reading groups or the conferring with students or taking running records one-on-one. And then toward the end of reading workshop, for the last 5 or 10 minutes, very important to stop and share and reflect. Students may share something about the books they have been reading. This is an important time of workshop for many reasons. It gives the child an opportunity to tie the learning targets into the book they've read. They can share their enjoyment of a good read with a fellow reader, and it gives them good oral communication practice, and it could suggest an exciting new book or series to the other children in the classroom. I've seen that happen. Even when I read a mentor text, I usually get 3 or 4 hands up, can I read that after you? So it's good for the children to share. So basically that's it in a nutshell. It's a mini lesson, the children's independent work, and then coming together to share.
Hi, I wanted to just tell you a little bit tonight about flexible grouping and what flexible grouping is. We use that in Reader's Workshop As well as in the math workshop. In readers workshop, in order to actually target on a personal level for each child, we gather data from the MAPS testing that we did, and we also perform one-on-one running records with our students. The one-on-one running record gives a very nice clear picture of authentic reading. Students actually will read a text to us. We actually can check how many words they were able to read correctly. We can look for strategies. Are they doing look backs? Are they chunking? Are they using picture clues? Are they fluent? Is their pace correct? Are they struggling? All of those little clues, in addition to the multitude of information that we get from our MAPS data, really helps us to put kids in besides just right books, just right strategy-based learning groups. And to make that a little more clear for you, we thought, as a school, we've talked about what example could we give you to help you feel more comfortable about your child being in a Just Right or a flexible strategy-based group. And we thought of marathon runners. And we thought if you were a very strong marathon runner and you were running with runners who maybe were just getting started, you might feel a little uncomfortable. You might feel like, oh, I have to go slower. This isn't the right pace for me. I wish I could just sprint out of here because I know I can do it. And also, you might lose interest in running. The same goes if you're a beginner runner and you're trying to build up that stamina. You know you'll get there, but you're not there at this moment. And you're with runners who are really taking off. You might get frustrated and you might actually avoid developing those running skills. Our reading, our flexible groups are going to be very similar to that. We want kids to feel good in the groups that they're in. We want it to be personalized. We want to teach them a strategy that they need, whether it's to develop their fluency, if it's to develop stronger comprehension skills. We just want to meet their individual needs. And so that's our goal with your kids in reading with our flexible grouping this year. Thanks.
As we wrap up Reader's Workshop, homework's going to look different in Reader's Workshop. Right now, your students should be bringing home a reading log to do some daily reading, putting down the title, the date, the time that they're reading, just right books, what types of books that they're reading. As we progress throughout the year, the reading homework and assignments will become more specified to what they're working on. We do want to mention that up in our homerooms, we will be talking about specific science learning targets, project-based learning, engineering, as well as FOSS. But we want to get you guys up into the rooms in smaller groups so we can attend to more specific questions you might have. Does that sound good? So if you want to, do we want to give room numbers out for homerooms? Are you guys meeting together in your room? Sure. Okay. Yep.
Tracy Sanchez and I are right across the hall. She's math, I'm reading, and then we've been team teaching science together. So space permitting, we were going to be meeting in my room, in room 155, and we'll have to check it out. If we don't have enough space, we're prepared. We can adjust.
And then Christina Sprader and myself will be in room 162. We are also math and literacy. So the homeroom parents of that can go to room 162. And Jenny and Jackie, are you team teaching? In what room? And 152 will have Miss Jackalome and Mrs. McDonald. So we're going to head upstairs and start going over those questions and answers.
For the benefit of our online audience, the Level 2 teachers of the Waukesha STEM Academy have put together some additional slides to give you more information about what it looks like in the day in the life of a Level 2 student at our school. The Level 2 teachers are as follows. For reading and literacy, Mrs. Zemsky, Mrs. Krizik, and Mrs. McDonald. For math, Mrs. Jackalone, Ms. Sprader, and Ms. Sanchez. The Level 2 philosophy that we'll be discussing this evening is how we are going to take a look at the traditional school setting in the classroom to the left and how we are moving towards a more individualized, proficiency-based, engaging classroom environment to the right. Schema is something very important that we discuss and teach our students. We believe our students must build their own knowledge through activities that engage them in active learning. We believe that effective learning happens when students take stock of what they already know and then move beyond it. Let's take a look at literacy. There is a daily 80-minute literacy block called Reader's Workshop. Reader's Workshop emphasizes on the importance of student engagement and the interaction between the text and a reader. There are 7 important strategies that readers must be able to apply to the text in order to read and understand the content. As listed on the slide, we have making connections, creating mental images, asking questions, determining importance, monitoring comprehension and meaning, making inferences, and synthesizing. There are 3 main components of Reader's Workshop. To start, we have a mini lesson that starts the workshop off. It is 10 to 15 minutes long. During this time, the teacher will introduce specific concepts, also known as the teaching point. Most often, the teaching point will focus on a reading strategy or skill. Then, during the 40 minutes of student independent reading time, students use that time to practice the skill that was taught during the mini lesson. Students are also reading in book nooks around the room while the teacher holds individual reading conferences or meets with small groups of students for guided reading, strategy lessons, or book clubs. At the end of the workshop, the students will participate in a sharing time. During this time, the class might meet as a whole group to refer back to the mini lesson. They may meet together to think about and respond to questions such as, what did you learn about reading today? What did you learn about yourself as a reader? Or they might meet with a reading partner to have a quick chat about the reading and how it's going for them. During Reader's Workshop, we teach our students how to choose just right books. Below are a few strategies that students use to choose these just right books. There is something called the 5-finger rule, where students will choose a book that they think they will enjoy. They read the second page. They hold up a finger for each word that they are not sure of. And if there are 5 or more words they do not know, they should choose an easier book. Still think it's too difficult? Use the 5-finger rule on 2 or more pages. Choose a book that is a good fit for you. Now the question might be, will it be an easy, fun book to read? You might want to ask yourself some questions or have your student ask some questions such as, do I understand what I'm reading? Do I know almost every word? And when I read it aloud, can I make it sound smoothly? Do I think the topic will interest me? If your answer is yes, this will be an easy book to read independently by yourself. Now, when looking at books that might be too hard, students can ask themselves, are there 5 or more words I don't know? Is this book really confusing for me? Or when I read it aloud, do I sound choppy and slow? So students can use these strategies at home and in the classroom when choosing a just right book. Speaking of at home, below are some tips for reading with your child. When a child seems like they can't read the word, you might want to say, can you sound it out? Can you finger tab it? Can you think of the word or movement that helps you remember the vowel sound? What is the first and last sound? Does it have a pattern that you have seen in other words? And there are some more strategies for that below. Now, when they come to something, a book that might be too difficult for them to read, it's important that parents really step in and say things like, well, let's read this one together. This is a book you will enjoy more if you save it until you're older, or later in the year. But the most important thing is to be honest with your students. When students or even people read books that are too hard for them, they often skip those important parts. Encourage your students that they will have more fun with this book if you wait until you're a little bit older and you can read it easily. There are a number of assessments we use at the school district of Waukesha and at the Waukesha STEM Academy. The first 2 assessments are required by the School District of Waukesha. We have running records and MAP test data. The third form of assessment is reviewing the daily Reader's Journal responses with our students, which is an informal conversation that we'll have on a daily basis with our kids to see where they are. Let's take a look at a running record. A running record is a method of assessing reading that can be done quickly and frequently. It is an individually conducted formative assessment, which is ongoing and curriculum-based. It provides a graphic representation of a student's oral reading and identifies patterns of effective and ineffective strategy use. Through a running record, teachers may obtain information about the student's use of reading strategies, information about a student's self-monitoring, an accuracy rate, an error rate, a self-correction rate. Running records can be used to document reading progress over time, help teachers decide what students need to learn, and match students to appropriate books. Below there is a link that you can visit to find more information on running records.
All right, now we're going to take a glimpse into a level 2 mathematician's life. As was mentioned before, we really base our math on what students already know, and so we do some pre-assessments to understand what they're knowing. Every day they will have 80 minutes approximately of math instruction. Some of it will be whole group mini lessons, there will be small group mini lessons, and there will be individual work time where we will conference with the kids as well. There will be guided math groups that a teacher will pull throughout the math workshop time to work on certain skills or to introduce new topics. During our math time, we'll be incorporating our 21st century skills and really working on problem tasks and what it really means to work with others to solve these problems. Each unit will last about 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, so it can be about a month long, depending on what the unit topic is. We base our unit by unit overview after we know the standards that we're going to teach using the Common Core targets. When we decide on the Common Core targets, we have a pre-assessment that we give to all students in level 2. Once we pre-assess them on their targets, we group them flexibly based on their readiness levels. Then within each each math room, they will also be working within flexible groups in individual time, small group time, and whole group lessons. After we have finished the unit, we will be looking at the same standards that we assessed them on originally and doing a post-assessment to be able to compare to our pre-assessment to see the fabulous growth the students have. Math homework this year will be a weekly packet where kids will be getting a word problem that they will solve throughout the week, a worksheet, and they will be expected to do IXL. Every week there will be one word problem with 3 different options. The students are expected to choose at least one of them. If they would like to do all of them, more power to them. Same with the worksheets. There will be a worksheet from each math teacher, and the students are to choose one of those to do, and they can do up to all 3. IXL, they're expected to do 20 minutes at least once a night when they're not, once a week when they are not doing those other 2 math homework activities, but they are more than welcome to do more. There's a yellow IXL activity log in their red folder that should remain in their red folder where they can write down the activities that they have been doing and show how they feel it is just right, too easy, or too challenging for them. We are going to be doing we have done MAP testing in literacy and math. This is something that many of you are familiar with, and we use them in a variety of ways. So it says, what are the MAP test results used for? MAP is used to measure a student's progress or growth in school. They're important to teachers because they let teachers know where students' strengths are and if help is needed in any specific areas. Teachers use this information to help them guide instruction in the classroom. If you've ever used a growth chart in your home to show how much your child has grown from one year to the next, this will help you understand the scale map uses to measure your child's academic progress. Called the RIT scale, it is an equal interval scale, much like feet and inches on a yardstick. It is used to chart your child's academic progress from year to year. RIT scores typically start at the 140 to 190 level in 3rd grade and progress to the 240 to 300 level by high school. Our end of the day time, we have an hour that is our STEAM time. It's the time to apply what students have been doing throughout the day and really have hands-on, inquiry-based, individualized learning opportunities. So students stay within their homeroom during this time, but they rotate between 3 level 2 classrooms for STEAM. These units are about 3 to 4 weeks with each teacher before transitioning onto the next one. It allows the teachers to become experts in one area and providing the best instruction for all students. So a teacher will teach a unit, and for 3 to 4 weeks, students will rotate. They will teach that same unit again, but students will be receiving a new piece of STEAM. Writing in level 2 is going to be integrated across the curriculum. There will be a mini lesson followed by independent writing, including writing groups and conferences. There's share time, where it's valuable for sharing writing ideas and development of oral language. So students will be getting mini lessons in a variety of subjects, and especially during IA and STEAM time. And then there are many different opportunities for us to see and meet and conference with them based on what we're seeing for needs for their writing. IA is one of the places where students will be doing this writing in our independent application time. This takes place every other day opposite the day that your child has specials, art, music, or gym. And it's intensive, individualized, or small group interventions that will take place for students. This is for the range of students. Students will be working individually at their just right levels, and they'll be working with small groups with teachers at their just right levels. They'll rotate among the 3 areas in the library. The reason we flexibly group within IA, within math, within reading, is to provide personalized learning that is tailored to meet the needs, the student individual needs and readiness levels. We really focus on what they know now and where we want to go with them. We focus on what's just right for what they need. You've seen a lot of, or heard a lot of, or have seen activity logs with a lot of what is just right for me for reading. We're doing that in math a lot right now, really thinking about what's just right, what's too easy, what is too challenging. Our STEAM specialization is for PBL, or project-based learning. We have Kate Krizik and Christina Sprader. For FOSS Science, we have Deb Zemsky and Tracy Sanchez. And for EIE, or Engineering is Elementary, we have Jenny McDonnell and Jackie Jackalone. So students who start with Kate and Christina in project-based learning will then rotate to FOSS for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then we'll rotate to EIE for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Because we find it important for students to be able to experience all of the wonderful resources and activities that we have and build that problem-solving knowledge through STEAM. In our example of our student-led research that we are doing in project-based learning right now, you'll see that there are a multitude of content and 21st century learning targets that we are focusing on. You can notice that there are reading targets that we've picked out, writing targets, 21st century skills, and other content area connections that students are choosing a research topic on and learning more about. In the end, they will make a PowerPoint to share what they have learned. Future projects for project-based learning is an opportunity that we have to start an aquaponics garden later this year, transferring over to the whole school eventually. We'll do history of research, history of Waukesha projects, and we will look to other individualized projects as well. The FOSS science units in trimester 1 is earth materials, trimester 2 is physics of sound, and trimester 3 is structures of life. For EIE, or engineering is elementary, trimester 1 we have geotechnical engineering evaluating a landscape. Trimester 2, physics of sound, and trimester 3, structures of life. If any of these peek out at you, or you feel like there's something that you could bring to us that you already know or are an expert in, please contact any teacher, and we would love to hear your expertise and share it with students. FOSS stands for the Full Option Science System, and it has evolved from a philosophy of teaching and learning at the Lawrence Hall of Science that has guided the development of successful, active, hands-on learning science curricula for more than 40 years. The FOSS program bridges research and practice by providing tools and strategies to engage students and teachers in enduring experiences that lead to deeper understanding of the natural and designed world. Please feel free to check out fossweb.com, and there are parent resources, there are more information, there are teacher resources. Check it all out. Engineering. What is a design brief? Students talk about the engineering design process, where they ask, they imagine, they plan, they create, and they improve. Students are given a design brief that includes background about what they will be doing, I can statements worth learning targets, a challenge, the criteria that must be included in what they're building or creating, and the materials and tools that they must use. This is an example of a design brief that was done through our children's engineering, which is the program that has led us to understand design briefs deeper. So it says, you're invited. Our school will have Meet the Teacher night next week. This year, the whole school will be focusing on children's engineering. This is a great chance to show your parents how children's engineering can help you learn. We are going to do this by completing a card engineering activity, which you can take home as a personal invitation for them to visit our school. That's some background. The design challenge is to design and make an invitation to give to your parent, inviting them to Meet the Teacher night. Your criteria: your card must have at least one pop-up part, have a lever-operated moving part, fit into a 10-inch by 12-inch envelope, have "You're invited" written on the moving part, have the date and the time inside, be attractive, and use correct spelling throughout. And what can you use? Construction paper, cardstock, paste, scissors, brads, markers, crayons, colored pencils, other material that might be supplied by the teacher. Homework. Please encourage your child to read for a minimum of 20 hours per day. Math homework packets to be given the first day of the school week and returned the last day of the school week. Complete any other assignments that are listed in their assignment notebooks or planners. We are a tribe school, and tribes is our basis for positive social emotional growth throughout the entire school day and beyond the school doors. The 4 basic agreements that we follow are attentive listening, mutual respect, no put-downs, show appreciations, and the right to pass. We really work on filling each other's buckets with appreciations that focus on these tribes agreements. Several ways that you can communicate with the Level 2 team is the Level 2 website, is by email, phone, or open door, face-to-face. Come on in and see us. Thank you for watching the Level 2 PowerPoint.